Hello everyone, All 22 and a few film review give you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class analysis series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick according to my big board, who's left on the board positionally, is it a team need, is it a scheme fit, all that good stuff. We're going to be going over paths for starting for all the players and kind of immediate roles if I see that for a player. So if you want to learn more about the Seahawks class that we're going to be talking about today, or anything about the other 31 classes in the NFL, make sure you stick around, subscribe, go through the channel, whatever you got to do to make sure you're not missing out on anything about your favorite teams or the teams that you're interested. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the Seahawks today, a very, very good class in my opinion, one of my favorite personal classes in this kind of draft just because they got some of the guys I really was rooting for in this class. An A- for me, a 3.289 grade. That numerical grade coming from an equation that I made for you guys, so you guys can have a more concrete feel about how I feel about every class. That way you guys can stack different letter grades or the same letter grades, see how far close different classes are to each other. The video is more about the analysis on every pick and the letter grades per pick, but that numerical equation, kind of just an extra fun thing for you guys so we can come back to it, see where I was right, see where I was wrong, see where I could learn from, all that good stuff. Like I said, an A-, a really good class. Very excited to talk about this one today with you guys. They have a lot of picks, so let's roll into it. They start off with Zabel, a guard out of North Dakota State University. Then go Nick Emmanwori, a safety out of South Carolina. Elijah Arroyo, a tight end out of Miami. Jaylen Milroe, a quarterback out of Alabama. Rylie Mills, an IDL out of Notre Dame. Tory Horton, a wide receiver out of Colorado State. Robbie Ouzts, a tight end out of Alabama. Bryce Cabeldue, a guard out of Kansas. Damien Martinez, a running back out of Miami. Mason Richman, a tackle out of Iowa. And Ricky White III, a wide receiver out of UNLV. Like I said, a ton of picks in this class. They even traded up in a few spots. Still ended up with this many picks. Let's dive into it here. They start off with Zabel, a guard out of North Dakota State University, taken with the 18th pick in the class. No trade compensation on this one. They just sat and picked. I absolutely love this pick for them. I gave it an A+. Now, he was 26 on my big board, so in terms of the true value, it's not like it's the most insane value, but they needed guards so badly. They just needed interior offensive line so badly, and they could even double up at interior line, whether it's drafting two guards or drafting a center and a guard, whatever have you. They needed extra guys in this room. Zabel is not only my best interior lineman in this class, someone who did play left tackle at North Dakota State University, started across the line in a few different spots, but projected more as a guard. I thought he projected better as a guard. Some people even liked him as a center, so if the Seahawks viewed him as a center, slide him in at center, draft a guard later, your interior line's looking a lot more stronger, adding a lot more depth to that position. So I think it is just the absolutely perfect fit for them. I thought Zabel could have went to a few teams before the Seahawks, so the fact that they were able to sit here, get the best interior offensive lineman on the board, and get him to a team that needs multiple of them, I just think it's an absolutely insane value for this team. A 6'6", 312-pound guard, 23, going to be 23 during his rookie season. Put up a 9.9 RAS. This guy can definitely move. It kind of matches what you see on tape. Now, he did play at North Dakota State, so you kind of have to think, how fast is he moving relatively to the other guys around him? But this guy could absolutely move, and the testing definitely kind of backed it up. He is a very, very explosive athlete. Not the most technically sound in terms of hand timing and hand placement and pass pro, but he's got a very nice anchor. He's got very good feet, very nasty in the run, loves to get after it. A very, very good guard in my opinion. Like I said, it was 26 on my big board, so it's pretty solid value in my opinion, but the number one interior offensive lineman. Just a very, very good player. On 453 pass block snaps during the season, he allowed 1 sack, 2 hits, and 4 hurries. Was a 2024 FCS first-team All-American and a 2-year starter for North Dakota State. Had starts at left tackle, left guard, and right tackle. Has moved all over the line. You could really feel comfortable playing him at any interior spot. Has pretty adequate length to be able to play tackle. I think he would suit better at guard just based on his movement, his size, and his nastiness in the run game. But play him wherever you want to play him. This is just a very, very good player. Their next pick, they go Nick Emmanwori, the safety out of South Carolina. With the 35th pick in the class, pick 3 of the second round. They got this from a trade up with the Titans, sending 52 and 82 over to the Titans for 35. A trade I didn't necessarily love for them. Emmanwori was someone I was definitely a bit lower on than some people kind of going into this process. I had him at 55 on my big board. Did not think he was worth a first rounder. Did not think he was worth trading up to the very top of the second to take him. That being said, I knew he was going to get taken somewhere at the back end of the first or early second just based on the measurables. This is a 6'3", 220-pound safety that absolutely flew, absolutely jumped out of the park, and also had nice agility measurements. You see it on tape. This guy absolutely flies around at 6'3", 220 is absolutely insane. Put up a 10 RAS. Someone that's going to take him that high, 100%. Now, I do love the landing spot for him. That's why it gets a B+ for me, more of a true B grade in terms of true value. But for this team, absolutely perfect. Not only does he not have to start right away, which I think he will have a little bit of trouble doing. I thought he was a very raw player. The athleticism is all there. You definitely see it on tape. But very raw in terms of seeing things and processing them on time, triggering at the right times. At pursuit angles with the ball in the air and coming down to hit from the deep safety spot, he played deep free, mostly for South Carolina. I really wanted a team to not make him do that in the NFL. I think his best role is going to be somewhere near the box, where you can eliminate some of those spacing issues and eliminate some of those angles downhill, because it's going to be a much shorter angle to the ball. He's going to be a lot closer, a lot less time to overthink his angles, and a lot less time for the running back to kind of make him miss or make him kind of under pursue, over pursue. You get what I'm saying. Really like the fit, because I think they're going to make him do that here. Like I said, they're not going to make him play like starting snaps right away, because they have Julian Love and Kobe Bryant, who've both been very solid for him. So he's going to be able to come in as that third box safety role, and he's going to the perfect place to do it. Mike Macdonald, their head coach, who came over from Baltimore, was their DC there for about 3 years. He invented the Kyle Hamilton mold. Not the mold of Kyle Hamilton, but the role. Like how they played him in Baltimore, near the line of scrimmage, blitzing, in the box, in the slot, as an overhang, rotating around. That's what Mike Macdonald schemed up. Was his vision for Kyle Hamilton. And he's getting a guy with a little bit thicker size, about the same height, and tested absolutely out the park. So if he's going to go anywhere that's going to put him in the right fit and get him to learn how to play this role the right way, it's with Mike Macdonald. I absolutely love this for him. He's probably going to destroy my big board ranking because of the spot he went to. This was the absolutely perfect spot for him. He's going to come in as that third safety, as Mike Macdonald loves using three safeties when he has the chance to. He's got an absolute chess piece with all the size, all the testing in the world. On tape, when it all comes together, you absolutely see it, and he does have good ball skills. He high points the ball well in the air. When it all comes together, it's there. You see it with the 4 interceptions. He had 2 of them returned for pick sixes. Like this guy, when it all comes together, you see it. Just very, very inconsistent in that sense. The angles while the ball in the air are very inconsistent. That's why you don't want him playing deep middle, because he is going to get beat. He is going to get manipulated by quarterback eyes, and he is going to blow coverages. But bring him down where he's going to have people playing behind him, and he can play in the hook to curls, the curls to flat, blitzing, doing all that type of like Kyle Hamilton stuff, all that kind of gadget safety, box safety, overhang type safety role, slot safety stuff. They're going to have him doing it, and I think that is the perfect setting for him. Absolutely insane. Love that fit for him. Was 55 on my big board, like I said. Was my 5th ranked safety, was the second one taken off the board. So I don't love the value. Like I said, it's more of a true B in terms of just where he was picked. But in terms of who picked him, out the park. Absolutely perfect for him, and a great fit for Mike Macdonald, being able to bring someone like that into this team. Absolutely perfect. Going to be 21 during his rookie season, very young player. Like I said, had 4 interceptions, 2 PBUs, 88 tackles, 3 TFLs, only 7 missed tackles on 88 total tackles, which you definitely love to see. When he, meets the ball carrier, he's not bad at wrapping up, and he definitely has power at that size. It's just coming down from the deep safety spot, he would miss those angles by a mile, and he would just take himself out of the play because of it. Hopefully you can limit that by bringing him closer to the ball where he has, less error to be able to hit those angles. Was a 2024 was a freshman All-American for South Carolina. Sorry, let me not jump ahead of myself. Also a 2024 first-team All-American and first-team SEC selection. A 3-year starter for South Carolina in his 3-year career. Started every year for him, was an athletic freak, a lot of production. Just needs to get the true kind of projection-based kind of stuff down, the angles, how quick he sees things, where he triggers the pursuit angles downhill, that kind of stuff. He's honestly a very decent man player, and a lot of his athleticism really helps him with that. He's got great recovery speed. He can take angles to cut balls off that other players just can't. Going to be a very good player in this league since he's going to the Seahawks. In different roles to different teams, I would have been a lot more nervous about him, especially at this spot, at this pick. But perfect for the Seahawks. I can't hate it. A B+ for me. Next they go Elijah Arroyo, a tight end out of Miami with the 50th pick, the 18th pick of the second round. No trade compensation on this one. I loved it. I gave it an A+. He was 61 on my big board, taken at 50. So in terms of true value, I think it is very good. And he was my 3rd overall ranked tight end and the 5th one taken off the board. So in terms of positional value, I think it's great there too. I was a giant Elijah Arroyo truther. I absolutely loved Elijah Arroyo, and I think he's going to a great scheme fit for him. Someone who can mold into more of a wide tight end at 6'5", 250 if he can put on some play strength. I honestly liked his run blocking technique. Now, he didn't have a lot of pop in his hands, not a lot of drive, but he would get to his landmark pretty quickly, would land his hands in a very good space, and work to stay with this guy pretty well. If he can just develop some more game strength in this scheme, in a kind of more wide zone stretch moving scheme where he's really going to be working on reach blocks, having to get to the second level, get in front of guys and wall people off, I think he's absolutely perfect for that. I think he can fit in this team very well. Also, one of the best receiving tight ends in this class to me. That's why I had him as my 3rd ranked tight end. Solid hands, not the best in the world, but this guy has very, very nice routes, a very release bag, knows how to bend and stem, very, very quick at the separation point, and shows physicality at the separation point as well. When he gets the ball in his hand, this guy has breakaway speed, a very, very fast player. Like I said, I was an Elijah Arroyo truther. I thought I was high on him, so to see the Seahawks take him at 50 was very, very validating for me. I like this pick a ton for them. Like I said, a 6'5", 250-pound tight end. He's definitely got decent size. If he can pack on a little bit of weight, a little bit of play strength, I feel very good about playing him in line and about his projection as becoming a blocker. He can definitely do it. It's not out of the question for him. Just needs to develop a little bit more play strength, which easier said than done. It's not like it's a guarantee, but he has the capability to do it. And this guy's ceiling is great, man. If he can hit his ceiling, this can be a very, very, very nice vertical threat tight end that can be also a solid blocker for you in this scheme. Absolutely love it. Had 35 receptions on 47 targets this season, 590 yards, 7 touchdowns, 16.9 yards per catch, which is insane for a tight end. Was a 2024 second-team ACC in his first year coming off the reserves. So in his first year of true playing time, this guy had a very, very nice year for a tight end. Really, really like Elijah Arroyo. Like I said, it gets an A+ for me. Now they have Noah Fant and they have AJ Barner, who they did take in the 4th round last year. I expect Elijah Arroyo to get a lot of snaps. I don't know if he's really going to take Noah Fant's job year 1, but I think he is going to compete more likely for that 2nd to 1st job than the 3rd to 2nd job. I expect him to slot over an AJ Barner. He has a lot of upside. I think he's a very solid player. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I was very high on him. The next pick, they go Jaylen Milroe, a quarterback out of Alabama with the 92nd pick, the 28th pick of the 3rd round. Getting this out of the Geno Smith trade, sending Geno Smith over to the Raiders for pick 92. I absolutely love this for the Seahawks. Not only for the Seahawks, but for Jaylen Milroe as well. The fact that you used the pick that you got from the Geno trade to draft your potential quarterback of the future that has some of the highest upside in this entire class, absolutely loved for them, especially considering where he's going. He's not going to a super aging quarterback room where you're expecting him to kind of step in next year and start. I would be a little bit concerned about that with Jaylen Milroe. I think he does need a few years behind someone. And it's not like Sam Darnold's the best mentor QB in the world, but they have Sam Darnold on a 3-year deal. So in 2 or 3 years, if he stays there for 2 years, or if he plays out that full contract, that means Jaylen Milroe's probably going to come in after he's gone. And I think that's going to be a good enough amount of time for Jaylen Milroe to really learn how to play NFL quarterback at the NFL level. Not just kind of college scheming or, 1 to 2 looks and running, actual processing and reading defenses, learning safety transitions, learning pre-snap looks, learning your hot routes, all that good stuff. I think that this is the perfect situation for Jaylen Milroe, man. I absolutely do. Also, in terms of value, it's great. On my big board, I had him at 97, taken at 92. So this is right around the shot that I want you to take him. And this team has so many picks that if you want to take a shot on a high upside quarterback, go for it. You have so many picks in this class. So I absolutely love it for that in that sense as well. Was my 4th quarterback on the board, was the 4th quarterback taken off the board. So in terms of positional value, I think it's a good pick too. I absolutely love this for them. Like I said, I gave it an A. Hard not giving it an A+, because I absolutely love it for them. Probably would be an A+ if he went to a place, with a more storied offense coordinator or with a, better mentor at quarterback. But I still think it's a great fit for them. A 6'2", 217-pound quarterback, going to be 22 in the beginning of his rookie season. Had 16 touchdowns, passing 11 interceptions, 2,844 yards thrown on the season, 63.3% completion percentage, 8.7 yards per attempt, and a 93.6 passer rating. The throwing stats aren't great on tape. It's very scary. Like I said, you don't want him stepping in year 1 or year 2, in my opinion. He's coming to a room where he doesn't have to do that. They also have Drew Lock, who's definitely not a terrible backup. So even if he is the 3rd quarterback, not terrible at all. He's not going to take up a 46 game day roster spot. Still going to take up a 53-man roster spot, but not the 46 game day spot. So you don't have to put him on your practice squad. You don't have to worry about anyone stealing him. If you really don't think you're comfortable with him playing, true quarterback, even as a backup right now, you have Drew Lock there that you're comfortable with backing up Sam Darnold. And then even if those 2 guys don't play well, maybe you just see what Jaylen Milroe can give you. I love it for them. Absolutely love it for them. Getting to the rushing stats, because he is a dual threat guy, 726 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns, 4.3 yards per carry. Was the 2024 William V. Campbell Trophy Award winner, which is basically the academic Heisman. So the fact that he won the academic Heisman is very, very promising. It makes you think he could really come in and have that grinder mentality, that first in, last out mentality, really learn the playbook and learn the nuances of quarterbacking at the NFL level and really take that next step up, because he's got all the dual threat ability in the world. He's got a cannon of an arm. If he can hit his upside, it's top 10 upside. It's just got a ton of ways to go to really hit that upside. He's got to develop a lot of things that just quarterbacks have in terms of pocket presence. Like I said, in terms of reading coverages, pre-snap reads, knowing his hot routes, stuff like that. Set the single quarterback rushing touchdown record in 2024 with 20 rushing touchdowns. Ton of rushing touchdowns. I expect them to get him involved early and often, not necessarily as a quarterback, but in design games, in trick plays. Maybe you bring him out and play him split out wide and, try to use him as a decoy at times. Stuff like that. He's going to get used a lot like that, kind of like how Lamar was used early in his career, during his rookie season when Joe was still there, before Joe got hurt in his rookie year. I expect him to get used a lot, and he should get used a lot, because he is a very, very athletic piece. Didn't have enough testing measurables to test for a RAS, but this guy's an athlete, man. Trust me. Like I said, gets an A for them. Great pick. Their next pick, they go Rylie Mills out of Notre Dame in IDL with the 142nd pick, the 5th pick of the 4th round. Getting this from the Sam Howell trade, sending Sam Howell and pick 172 over to the Vikings for pick 142. This got nice see the vision. Now as we get into day 3, the day 3 grades are going to be different than the day 1 and 2 grades. Day 1 and 2 off of a letter grade basis, as they're weighted more, graded harsher, as teams kind of draft for BPA and BPA 4 needs in day 1 and 2. Day 3, much less about your true big board values, much more about upgrading aspects of a position. If you could still find a piece you think truly upgrades a position and could start for you, maybe in a year or two, that's great. But it's much more about, bringing in guys into a position group that upgrades spots that you're kind of lacking in the room, like a deep threat ability in your receiving room. If you have a lot of, short to intermediate guys or X-type receivers, you don't really have a deep threat. The pass coverage ability in your linebacker room, if you have a bunch of early down linebacker guys, but you don't really have any sub linebackers. If your team was really bad in the run game, in the defensive run game, I should say, bringing in some 330, 340 pound guys just to upgrade the movability or non-movability of your defensive line, that sort of stuff. Much less about, true BPA, true big board picking. But Rylie Mills still gets an I see the vision. These grades are going to be an I love it, I like it, I see the vision, or an I don't get it. I'll have kind of more of a concrete definition for all that stuff in the description. I will be explaining why I feel the way I do about each of these and explaining the grade as always, but if you want a more concrete definition of those, go to the description. Rylie Mills gets an I see the vision, just because I think it's a bit early for me in terms of Rylie Mills. Taking him at the very top of the 4th round, I thought he was much more of a 5th round guy, maybe late 5th, early 6th, not early 4th. This was very early for me. Now, I don't hate them taking interior defensive line depth. I really like their starting 3 of Jaron Reed, Byron Young, Leonard Williams. But outside of that, you really don't have a ton of bodies that you're writing home about or guys that you really think are going to slot in to starting roles for the future. And Rylie Mills is kind of more of a 3-4 defensive end type, so I think he is a good scheme fit. Mike McDonald, even though he does love to run his 3 safeties at his 4-2-5, the base kind of heart of his scheme is 3-4, and they definitely still like to get into 3-4. So they were going to draft defensive linemen that fit that mold for them. Rylie Mills definitely fits that mold at 6'5", 291. Going to be 24 during his rookie season. Not a bad athlete at all, not an exceptional one, but didn't qualify for a RAS. Honestly had very, very good production for an interior defensive line with 7.5 sacks, 4 hurries, 8.5 TFLs, 37 tackles, no turnovers or ball production, but 7.5 sacks from the interior defensive line is definitely nothing to not write home about. Still, I thought this was very early for me. I do like them going IDL. He definitely has the size and the athleticism to play for them, and he's going to a line that he can develop behind. Just gets an I see the vision because I do think it was a bit early. Their next pick, they go Tory Horton with the 166th pick, the 30th pick of the 5th round. Getting this from a trade down with the Browns, sending over 144 to get 166 and 192. A trade I definitely liked for them, as I really like the players they got at both of these spots, especially at this spot picking Tory Horton. This spot, and I love it. I thought Tory Horton definitely should have gone earlier than this. Now only played 6 games due to an injury this season, so I get why he falls to the back end of the 5th if you are a little bit worried about that. But someone who I thought should have went for the kind of early 4th, mid 4th in my opinion. I thought this was absolutely exceptional value for Tory Horton, and especially for this team. I really wanted them to go after a true X-type receiver that could, run those intermediate dig routes, do dirty work on the outside, and, possibly separate deep. And Tory Horton could do all that, man. One of the true X receivers in this class, in a very thin X receiver class. I really, really like Tory Horton for them. They have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is a very, very good slot to Z. Does his best work from the slot, but can flex out to the Z and definitely do some dominant threats there as well. They bring in Cooper Kupp, who also does his best work from the slot to the Z. So, kind of 2 a little bit redundant guys. Outside of that, they have Jake Bobo, who isn't the highest upside guy in the world, but is a great blocker and has definitely played some meaningful, early down snaps as an X guy for them. Outside of that, no one you're really super writing home about or locking in to this roster. They have Tariq Young, who was a 7th round pick in 2022. Very competitive room, to bring another guy in, especially an X receiver. I absolutely love this for them. Like I said, very, very good value as well. A 6'2.5", 196 pound receiver, a little bit thin for an X, but he is good at running those in breakers. He can do dirty work on the outside. Very confident that he's going to come in and compete for that wide receiver 3 role. Maybe not 3, depending on how good Cooper Kupp is still. But no, like wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 4. Very, very comfortable with him coming in to do that for this team. They also brought in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who I kind of forgot to mention, who is a kind of deep threat Z. A fine wide receiver 3, but again, not a person that is going to keep you from drafting another person in this room, especially an X type, because Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a Z type. So again, just adds to my argument of the needing an X type body in this room. I think he's a perfect fit for them. Should compete for wide receiver 4 to wide receiver 3 immediately. Should compete to have a lot of reps as an X receiver. Loved it for this team. Going to be 23, in his rookie season. Put up a 9.83. Jumped and ran in a straight line very fast, or very well. Didn't run any of the agility testing, but all the other stuff tested very, very well. In only 6 games, he had 26 receptions on 38 targets, 353 yards, 1 touchdown, 13.2 yards per catch, and a punt return touchdown. So had some special teams flexibility as well. A 2-time first team Mountain West Conference first team selection as a wide receiver in 2022 and 2023. Most likely would have been a 3-time one if he didn't go down with injury this year. Has a very, very storied career producing for Colorado State. Was a second team selection as a punt returner in 2023 as well. Has 3 punt return touchdowns through his career. So absolutely love to see that special teams production. Was a 3-year starter for Colorado State in his 3 years for them. Spent 2 years at Nevada before that. You'd love to see him coming over here and just dominating for 3 years. I like him a lot for this team, and I love it pick. I think this is someone who comes in and competes right away. Maybe never a top 10 receiver in this league, but a very solid 1 of 3 type piece that you feel comfortable with at the X. Love that upside for him. Their next pick, they go Robbie Ouzts, a tight end out of Alabama with the 175th pick, 39th pick of the 5th round. No trade compensation. This was a compensatory pick for them. This guy and I see the vision. Now, he is a tight end for Alabama. I think he's going to be drafted here, most likely to be a fullback or H-back, play in the wing, not play in line 100% for them. He is 6'3", 274, a very shorter, very thick tight end, not an athlete at all, not a lot of receiving production, and never was a true starter for Alabama. Very early for me. Like I said, I do think they try to slot him in at fullback, and to take a guy you're converting from tight end to fullback in the 5th round, I think is very early. I think you could have waited a lot longer to get him, especially considering you had a lot more picks in this class. If they take him for a tight end, probably going to be their 4th tight end behind, Fant, Elijah Arroyo, and A.J. Barner. So to take your 4th tight end in the 5th, if he's going to be a tight end, don't love that. But like I said, most likely going to be kind of that fullback, H-back, wing type. A good blocker in space, lands well, finds people well, but in terms of true inline blocking, doesn't really have the true strength and drive technique to really move defensive ends and interior linemen. Can get out in space, like I said, move people at the 2nd level, lead block. So not a bad fit as a fullback, but not the most upside. Like I said, not an athlete, not a lot of production history in his career, was never a true starter, but is going to come in and probably start for this team at their fullback position. So to get a starter in the 5th round, I can't hate it. He does profile as a fullback, so again, I see the vision. That's the grade it gets, but I don't love it. Going to be 23 in his rookie season. Put up a 5.33 RAS, like I said, not a great athlete. Had 8 receptions. Couldn't find his targets anywhere. I was looking everywhere to try to find how many times this guy was targeted in 2024 alone. Couldn't find it, but had 8 receptions for 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, 13.4 yards per catch, which is honestly not bad for a tight end. Only had 16 career starts in a 3-year career. Again, and I see it, not the best pick in my opinion. They could have went in a lot of different directions that I think would have impacted this team a lot more. Their next pick, they go Bryce Cabeldue, someone who played tackle for Kansas, but I think profiles better as a guard due to the arm length only at about 32 inches. Taken with the 192nd pick, the 16th pick of the 6th round. Again, getting this from the trade down with the Browns, setting over 144 from 166 and 192. I like this for them a lot. I honestly really do. Like I said, don't hate them doubling up at interior offensive lineman. Now, he is a guard, so it is them doubling up at guard. And since he is taken in the 6th, the path for starting for him isn't super clear. They have Christian Haynes, who they took in the 3rd round last year, who I definitely like. I think Zabel and him definitely probably slot in as the starting guards. They also have a guard who they took last year in the 6th, a Samoan name I'm forgetting, and I don't want to butcher, so I'm not going to try to do that to myself right now. But also taken in the 6th last year. So they have some kind of middling depth at the interior spot. They also have another body who I think they took in the 5th or the 4th 2 years ago. So in terms of where they spent capital on the interior lineman, he's slotting kind of right in there with the rest of those guys. There's a lot of guys he's going to have to compete with. But this has been very sloppy play from the interior line spot recently for the Seahawks. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is able to flash in camp and compete for a backup guard spot. Being able to do that in the 6th, I think, is honestly not bad value, especially for this team that definitely needs the depth help, especially considering they took him at the spot. I thought Bryce Cabeldue was somewhere more of a 5th round guy, maybe a late 4th round guy due to the athleticism. Someone who is very, very athletic, put up a 9.91 RAS, ran under 5.0, ran a 4.95 at over 300 pounds, which you love to see, had 30 reps on the bench as well, a 6'4", 306-pound guard. He's got all the athleticism, the raw testing strength, and the size to be a very, very good guard in this league if he can hit his upside. For this team, I think that's perfect. I think this is good value for him. Not going to be an I love it pick because the path to starting is a little bit murky for him. But if he can hit his upside, this is a starting guard for this team at some point in his career. So I absolutely do like this for them. Like I said, a 6'4", 306-pound guard, going to be 24 in his rookie season. Put up a 9.91 RAS, 344 pass blocking snaps, allowed 3 sacks, 0 hits, and 5 hurries. A 4-year starter for Kansas. Love to see the size, the athleticism, the starting history for him. If he can hit his upside, like I said, this can be a very good guard. Don't know how soon he's going to play for them. It's a very, very kind of middling room with a lot of bodies in it. But if he can come out in his rookie year and flash a lot in camp, he should climb up that depth chart soon and maybe get a chance to compete and play for this team earlier than later. Again, an I like it pick. I think this is a very good pick for them. Next, they go Damien Martinez with the 223rd pick, the 7th pick of the 7th round. Getting this as part of the DK Metcalf trade, sending over DK and pick 185 for 52, which they then traded for 35 and 223. Love this pick. I think this is the steal of the class in terms of true value, in my opinion. Now, going to this room, the path for starting is kind of murky with who's there. They have Kenneth Walker, they have Zach Charbonnet, they have Kenny McIntosh, who they took in the 7th, I believe it was 2 years ago. But Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are both coming up on contracts sooner than later. I wouldn't be surprised if even next year one of these guys isn't in that room. And Damien Martinez is fighting for those reps. He is taking those second string reps and fighting and clawing at those starting reps. I think Damien Martinez is such a good back. Someone who I had in my top 10 running backs and someone who I had in my top 75 big board. I absolutely love Damien Martinez. I was a Damien Martinez truther. I think this is an absolutely great pick. I was higher on him than others, was still flabbergasted to see him fall to the 7th. I can understand it if teams are a little bit turned off by kind of the off the field stuff, if there's kind of character concerns. Part of the reason he ended up at Miami from Oregon State is because of a situation where he got a car through a dealership that was linked to the school and then just didn't make the payments and refused to pay for the car and then got angry with the school, and that was part of his decision to leave. So not a great look on his part. Also had a DUI, another not great look. So if teams are very concerned about the kind of mental makeup or the character, I could see why he would fall. But in terms of true talent, this was a guy who could have went in the back end of the 2nd, more close towards the end of the 3rd, but someone who I thought could end up in the back of the 2nd to true talent. This guy is so good, a very, very sneaky athlete, a full-size running back at 6 foot, 217. This guy has great contact balance, absolutely great contact balance, can pinball off people and accelerate out of it. Some people can pinball, but not really accelerate through and out of tackles. He can, and he has very good acceleration for his size as well. Has solid to good vision, not great vision, but good vision. Not the best 3-down back in the world, but can definitely catch outside his frame and is solid as a pass protector. Definitely needs some work, but not a bad pass protector. I was an absolute Damien Martinez truther. I love this for this spot, especially considering it's a pick that you got back for the DK Metcalf trade. Don't love that they had to send 185 over, but at least he got an extra pick back that allowed you to take a guy like this that I think should take their third string back spot right now, and in a year or two is going to be their second string back fighting for more reps. Absolutely love Damien Martinez. If he went to a different room that I think he had a clearer path to start, then this would probably be my absolute favorite pick in this entire draft class. But I think he is probably going to be sitting there for at least a bit during this season. Absolutely love this pick for them, though. I still think it is insane value. Like I said, 6 foot, 217, only going to be 21 during his rookie season. Put up an 8.19 RAS. Not a bad athlete at all, man. This guy has athleticism to play at the running back spot. Not home run hitting speed, but he has enough speed to pull away to the second level. He can hit some, touchdowns from about 40 to 50 yards for you if he can get a well-blocked run or, kind of burst out of the pile like he loves to do. This guy loves to turn his feet as well. Creative in the open field. I love Damien Martinez, man. I'm not going to tell you, or not going to be able to get across how much I enjoyed this pick for the Seahawks. Had 1,002 rushing yards on the season, 10 touchdowns, 6.3 yards per carry, which is nice. 17 receptions on 21 targets for 240 yards. No fumbles for him on the season. A Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year when he was still at Oregon State. And a 2024 ACC honorable mention in his first year at Miami. A 2-time first-team Pac-12 selection at Oregon State. Was very, very good at Oregon State. Came over to Miami. Didn't start the entire year. Was a little bit slow to start out the year, but picked up and just had a head of steam going in to that end of the season. Was a very good player, man. I love him. Love this pick for them in the 7th round. Insane. Their next pick, they go Mason Richman, a tackle out of Iowa, with the 234th pick, the 18th pick of the 7th round. No trade compensation on this one. This guy, and I see the vision. Someone who I thought would profile a bit more towards the interior offensive line. He's probably going to be playing tackle with how many tackles or how many interior linemen I kind of talked about being in this room earlier at the guard spot. Now, in terms of his path to making the roster, it's a bit murky. Not even path to playing, but path to making the roster. They have Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross as their 2 starting tackles. They brought in Josh Jones to be a backup left tackle, who's honestly not a bad backup, so I do think he is going to slot in at that backup spot. And then they have a guy who they took in the 6th round last year at the right tackle spot. So don't really see a true fit for him on this line. It is definitely going to be an uphill battle for him. Not a bad player at all. I think if you were going to draft him, he's somewhere in the 7th round, but not the best fit for this team in terms of just making a roster spot. I think it is going to be an uphill battle for him because they kind of have 2 tackles that they've brought in recently, whether it be through free agency or the draft. They brought in 2 guards in this class, so if you want to move him to over 2 guard, he's got a lot of guys he's going to be competing with. Just don't absolutely love the fit for this team. If they were to draft another guy, would have loved it to draft another center to try to compete in this room, but not a terrible pick, just not the best in my opinion. Again, and I see the vision. The 6'5", 307-pound tackle at Iowa, going to be 23 in his rookie season, put up a 6.42 RAS, not the best mover in the world. On 316 pass block snaps, allowed 2 sacks. Couldn't find out how many hits or hurries he allowed. I'm a fraud. I know, I'm sorry. I scoured. I was trying to find it. Haven't paid for a PFF subscription. Going to try to have that for you guys next year to try to give you guys more advanced stats, but right now we're working with the minimum, so I'm sorry I couldn't find more about him. But 3-year starter for Iowa, a lot of playing time at a Big Ten school. Teams love to draft Big Ten linemen very late in the class. It's things they just kind of feel comfortable about. I don't hate it, just probably not going to make the team, or not probably going to make the team, but an uphill battle to make the team, so it gets an IC division. With their last pick, the 238th pick of the class, the 22nd pick of the 7th round, they get this from a trade back with the Patriots, sending over 137 to get 144, which they ended up trading away, and 238, this pick in the 7th. they take Ricky White, the third, a wide receiver out of UNLV. I like this honestly a lot. Not only do I think there are roster spots to make in this wide receiver room like we talked about earlier, outside their top 3 guys, it's Jake Bobo and a guy they took in the 7th round 3 years ago. Not a ton of surefire roster spots in this room. I think Tory Horton definitely takes one of those, but I'm confident Ricky White can also take another one of those, especially considering the special teams value. That's why I think they're taking him at the spot in this class. Not only gives returning value, having a punt return touchdown in this year, but also as a just true core special teamer, as a gunner, as a guy going for block kicks, had 4 blocked kicks this season. 4 blocked kicks, 4 blocked field goal kicks. That's insane. I don't care what school you go to. I don't care he's at UNLV. 4 blocked kicks in one season is crazy. Led the FBS in blocked field goal kicks this season. He's going to make this team as a special teamer, man. Getting a special teamer like that in the 7th, I definitely don't hate, especially because I do think he fits in your wide receiver room and might earn some snaps because of his returning ability, because of his core special teams ability in general. He's just going to be able to stay on this kind of depth chart, and injuries happen, people leave, you never know. Because of that, he's going to find the field at some point. This late in the 7th, I think that is great value, and I like it big. 6'1", 184-pound wide receiver, going to be 23 in his rookie season. Put up a 3.37 RAS, did not test well at all, did not test well. Not the biggest wide receiver either, so measurables are going to take that grade a little bit too. You're not kind of drafting him for that. You're drafting him because this guy is going to be a core special teamer for you for years, and you need that on your team. Special teams is a phase in this game. This is a 3-phase game. Offense, defense, special teams. You need special teamers, and this is a very good special teamer. This is where you take them. Like this pick for them a lot. Had 79 receptions on 124 targets for UNLV, 1,041 yards, 11 touchdowns, 13.2 yards per catch. Like I said, 4 blocked kicks and a punt return touchdown. Was very, very productive for UNLV. A 2-time first-team Mountain West Conference selection in 2023 and 2024. Was the 2024 Mountain West Conference Special Teams Player of the Year. Absolutely great. Set his school single receiving record at UNLV with 1,483 yards last year. Like I said, it was very, very productive receiving for them. Didn't have the same receiving production this year, but you still love to see the special teams production. If you can get him to translate that, he can be a very solid piece for you. Doesn't have the athleticism or size to be a top 10 or a true alpha receiver, but in terms of upside, a very, very solid guy who can be a very good special teamer for you, a Pro Bowl special teamer for you. A 3-year starter at UNLV, spent his prior 2 years before that at Michigan State. You love to see him, coming to a different program where he got a lot more reps and took them and flew with it, just absolutely did the most with them. This was the Seahawks class, going to be my longest video, most likely. They had a ton of picks, a ton to talk about, especially because I loved a ton of these guys. I had a lot to talk about. I really hope you enjoyed. It was a ton of analysis. I'll run through the picks quickly again. Gray Zabel, guard out of NDSU. Great value, great fit for this team. Has the upside of being a all-pro, Pro Bowl guard. Has the athleticism, has that play strength. Just has to hit his ceiling, but a very good pick for this team. Nick Emmanwori, a 6'6", 220-pound safety that ran in the low 4.4s. I think it was low 4.4s, high 4.3s. Jumped out of the park, had good agilities, all the upside in the world. Don't love the value, but a perfect fit pairing up with Mike McDonald, who created kind of the Kyle Hamilton kind of role. So perfect fit for him. Elijah Arroyo, a tight end with very, very high receiving upside, and the upside to be a solid blocker for this scheme. 6'5", 250, all the athleticism you can want in the tight end. Has all the receiving upside you can want in a tight end. Absolutely love it for this team. Jaylen Milroe, you have a bunch of picks in this class. Spend one on a super high upside quarterback, especially because you have Sam Darnold on a 3-year deal. You don't have to worry about Jaylen Milroe coming in to start immediately. Love that for them. Rylie Mills, a little bit early for me, but is a scheme fit with a lot of pass rushing production from this interior kind of 3-4 end spot. Going to be a good scheme fit. Someone they can use very well on, blitzes and loops and twists, stuff like that. Good scheme fit for the team. Don't hate the pick. Tory Horton, perfect fit in terms of getting an X receiver for this team. I thought it was great value. Wouldn't be surprised if he is kind of in their top 3, top 4 wide receivers in terms of snap count, target count by the end of the season. A very, very good pick. Robbie Ouzts, most likely going to get turned into a fullback. Don't love this value for him. I understand he's probably going to start for you at fullback, but still probably could have waited a bit for him. A very, very thick guy at 6'3", 274. Going to be a good lead blocker for you, but not much of an inline guy, not much of a receiving threat. Bryce Cabeldue, someone with a lot of athleticism and raw testing strength. If you can get him to hit his upside, can be a starting guard for you. But taken in the 6th, with a lot of other kind of day 3 guys taken recently in this room, he's going to have a lot of competition to get through. Damien Martinez, someone who I thought was a top 10 back in this class, someone who I absolutely loved, was on my top 75 big board, falls very far due to different reasons. But if he hits his upside in a year or two, this guy can be your second string back or even your starting back. His upside is that of a very good starting back in the NFL. Don't know how soon he's going to be able to play because he is a 7th round pick, taken in a room with 2 very good backs already, but a very, very good value. Mason Richman doesn't really fit well on this roster in my opinion. Going to be an uphill battle for him to get a roster spot, but not a terrible value, not a terrible scheme fit. Just you have multiple tackles, you drafted multiple guards, you have multiple kind of day 3 guys that you've brought in recent years. Don't really see where he fits in on the roster. And then Ricky White, ultra productive special teams guy, was the Mountain West Conference Special Teams Player of the Year this last year. To get a special teamer like that this late in the 7th off of a pick you got from a trade down, I think that's great. Love this class. Probably my favorite personal class because I was an Elijah Arroyo truther. I was a kind of Damien Martinez truther. Tory Horton's a great fit for them. I think Zabel was the perfect fit they could have gotten in the first round. Absolutely love this class. An A- for me. If you guys like to listen to me ramble about the Seahawks for 50 minutes, I really appreciate it. Really, I really do. Even if you don't, kind of leave a like or a comment down below. The fact you made it this far means the world. If you did like it, I really hope you do leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you think about my analysis, anything you're seeing graphics-wise, anything. Talk with me down below. Talk with me about the Seahawks class, your opinions on it, your opinion about anything going on in the football world in general. I love to talk about this stuff. But thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Make sure you don't miss the next 7 videos coming out as we round out this NFL draft season. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great day.